Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there, it's Dr. Gemma, and welcome to episode 185 of the Cognitive Podcast. So much in so little time this week. First of all, I'm out of the bathtub. You'll be happy to know before I wrinkled up or slipped down the drain or whatever I was going to do. And I would like you to know, too, that at the top of the show notes, we have the Desk of Completeness. And I believe looking at the back row and then the front row from left to right, it's Howard the Yeti, Wednesday, Walter the Bear. Who is that next? Oh, Doug the Pug. And in the white head in the back is Lola the Polar Bear, with the blue one is Pierre the Penguin. And then you go forward, the orange one is Felix the Fox, and to Felix's right is the completely hacked Kiki the Chick. Then in the front row on the left, you have Cornelia the Bee, Frederica the Dinosaur, Gertrude the Llama, and our newest addition, Scooter the Raccoon, also a total hack. I'm having so much fun with the Woobles. I can't believe this. I've actually decided that if you want to Wooble with me at CFR10, I will be happy to help you with your Woobling stuff. And these are really easy little things. But I did put a link in the CFR10 thread to the free Wooble, which is Pierre the Penguin. And if you look closely at Pierre and Kiki to his left, our right, you will see they're the same thing, just different colors. And Pierre's got a little white patch on his tummy. So if you want to do Woobles 101 with me, sort of casually, please, in the room at night or out in the lobby, I'll be happy to show you with what's out there free. And if you have yellow yarn, you can be doing Kiki. If you have blue yarn, you can be doing Pierre. And let me tell you, 10 millimeter eyes, you can get them all over the internet. Amazon has them, Knit Picks has them. Knit Picks has them with colorful rings around them. And we'll see more of that when we get down to Minerva the Wooble. At any rate, your comments are certainly welcome, both on our blog at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com or on the thread for each episode on Ravelry. And now I did finally sit down and update the information thread for CFRX, that is CFR10 or CFR 2024. And I added a lot of stuff, links, a couple pictures, well, anything I could think of that would be relevant. And it does occur to me that on there I talk about mini skein trading. Please remember that we have a link to a lot of patterns in the show notes at the bottom of this under community resources, to a lot of patterns that are free and are for mini skeins. I say this because I've been thinking about other details, like working on the 4-square granny square crossbody bag. And I keep thinking, but if you just want to work on your mini skeins while you're there and crochet another cowl, absolutely. Anyway, hooey, we have a lot to say. You can see I'm thinking a lot about CFRX, so warm thanks to those of you who are thinking of it, and those of you who are going to click that link and look at the updated information thread on Ravelry and give me feedback. I know some of you will. I could not be happier about that. I still have at the top of the notes the hotel's message, including the link to book your room at the group rate. 2 links, in fact. Last year, our group knitting pattern and project was actually crocheting, and it was crocheting the cow. And this year, it's probably going to be making granny squares so that we can reproduce Carmen Trinidad's beautiful across the body bags. Again, if you go to the information thread, there is a link to a free pattern from Yarnspirations for that bag. This is a classic crochet project, these 4 square bags. It's also like the 13 square bags. You see them everywhere, all over the place. So I don't feel bad about giving you that for free any more than I feel bad about giving you the free Pierre the Penguin pattern. Free is free is free. But here we have a few easy, fast projects that people can make as souvenirs to take away from CFRX. That, and as I mentioned before, the beautiful cowl pattern that we used last year. Guys, bring it all. Bring all your scrap yarn. We can have so much fun. So what's on my hooks and needles? Well, I did finish Doug the Wooble Pug. Doug the Pug from the book. He is from the book. Obviously, I changed his colors a little bit, I think. I made his nose a lighter brown than he is in the book. He works out really, really well. And if you're going to wooble hack, he's a useful guy to know. His ears can be used in a few other places. I'm looking across at who I have. No, I don't think I've got anybody with those ears yet. But I'm thinking that Doug could be hacked for a number of different dog breeds if you want to make Christmas ornaments. And he's got that beautiful egg-shaped body. So he'd make a great Christmas ornament if you want to make Doug the Pug and dress him up for Christmas. His nose is very interesting. A lot of pug patterns just put an oval there. And this designer uses a V shape. It actually is an oval. So if you know her oval instructions, and again, it's in her book, so you can't just put an oval there or a circle there, you know, a sort of hemisphere there. People do that too. But I actually turned out liking this. I didn't expect to, but I was looking at a friend's pug and said, no, this is a really good way to do them. So he is from the book, the Woobles book. The next is Kiki the chick. She is a complete hack. She is simply Pierre the Penguin, the free pattern in yellow. Even the beak is the same. The only difference, Pierre has a white tummy patch, which she probably could have, but I don't think so. I don't think she needs it. So if you want a really easy free wooble, this is one. Again, she's another one. You could put a bunch of those in an Easter basket with candy and have a really cute ornament. She could be a Christmas tree ornament. You know, she could be a wedding favor. I mean, she's a really versatile girl there. Then we have the one I just finished this evening, Scooter the Raccoon. He is a total hack as well. Now, this one is a little bit funny. I'm on their mailing list, as I should be. I'm keeping the Woobles company in business at this point. But I'm on their mailing list, and I was looking at all the egg-shaped bodies that were no longer being made, and he's one of them, Walter the Bear, who is now in the book, though, but I had to hack him slightly from the picture on the website. You know, there's a few they don't make anymore. So I said, well, that raccoon's really cute, and he's interesting. And I looked at him and said, I think I have all the pieces for him. His ears, his tail, and his snout are from Felix the Fox. His oval is from the Yeti, or from, in the book, the astronaut. So I looked at him and said, he's pretty straightforward, except the top row of the oval I did in white, which they seem to do as well, so that you really see that he's got that mask. I did not like the fact that the kit has him with black eyes on a black mask. I think that's too much lost. So fortunately, Knit Picks to the rescue. They sent me these nice eyes. They finally did arrive, the Knit Picks package, which I'll talk about in a minute or two. So just as I did his beautiful oval-shaped body, they dropped the kit again and said it's a limited release, and it was only dropped if you're on their mailing list. And so it's not in the normal page called thewoobles.com. You have to be on their mailing list to get the kit dropped. Nonetheless, I looked at it and said, no, 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 boys, too late. Girls, I should say. I'm hacking this one. He's a pretty easy hack. He's a sophisticated little kit. He is not beginner. He's in the realm of beginner plus, because he's got the oval on top of the sphere. And the oval has to have the eyes in it. And you have to place the eyes on the sphere, and then you also are going to place them again through the oval, which is why I put in two pictures. The top picture is I started the sphere, and I always do that sphere through row 9. It's 18 rows. Row 11 is the widest it gets, I think, and then it decreases. But I go through row 9, because it's easier to count backwards for placing the eyes. And you can see the eyes are the blue clips, but then between them you have these red clips, and they're the markers for where the mask is going to be. The mask is flat. The eyes have to be positioned through those holes, but also properly on the mask. The Yeti is the same way. And it takes a little bit of doing to get the swing of that. Now, what I like about this one, I got the oval right. On the Yeti, the top of the oval at the right is slightly flattened. That's, I think, I did not do a good invisible finish there, where you go back and make the mock crochet stick to round it out. I think that's what I got wrong on Howard. He looks great to me, but I can tell he's not perfectly symmetrical in his mask. Don't listen, Howard, you're beautiful. Anyway, so I did much better on this one. On this oval, I got it better. It's not really all that hard to do the placement, but you do have to think about it. This one adds even another level to Howard, the Yeti, because then you got to put the fox snout on the sphere with the oval as well, under it, between the eyes. So I was very happy with him, but he took a little serious work around that mask. So he is definitely beginner plus to intermediate for me. He's not a beginner, but he's certainly very hackable, as you can see. I used the tail from Felix the Fox. I added 2 rows because I thought it should have more. I'm extremely happy with Scooter the Raccoon. The stash toss, 25 in versus 47 out. And then in progress, we have Minerva, the Woobles cat. As I do this, I did just put her face on, but I haven't updated the picture. I'll show you that next week when she gets her tail. She's probably going to get her tail tomorrow night. I tend to do these one piece at a time, and I really like to just sit down and cruise through the body, particularly the egg-shaped bodies. I find that very easy to do. I cruise through it. I mark everything on it, the ears, the eyes, any kind of facial features, any mask, whatever. And then sometimes I'll mark the tail, but I don't find that all that necessary to mark. At any rate, so there is Minerva with her ears and her eyes. And again, those are eyes from Knit Picks. I really quite like them. Now, Minerva is a hack. She's a total hack. She is a hack of a kit I don't have, Nico the cat, who is a sort of beige with orange stripes on his back and a long tail. And I looked at him and said, he's really cute. They put an apron on him with a little goldfish, which I think is kind of dumb looking, but I can see what they're trying to do. They just want to dress him up a little bit. But I like Minerva, and I have preserved the facial features of Minerva the cat. You will find they've got a black cat, it's purple, for Halloween, a limited release. I looked at it and said, why do a black cat in purple? I know what you're doing. That happens a lot because nobody wants to crochet or work with very dark yarn. Let me tell you, Minerva was hard because I had to do her in blinding daylight. I could not see what I was doing, but Minerva came out quite nicely, and she's sitting here on the desk awaiting her tail. Then there's Boom the Otter. Now, Boom the Otter, one of my patients bought the tiger. And I looked at the tiger and said, I could do that without a kit. So Boom actually is from the book, but Boom has some key features of the tiger. So I thought, I'm going to do the book Otter first. It's actually, I think they're Skipper and Boom, the otter couple. They're in a car saying just woobled, and they look married, like they've just been in a wedding. She's got a flower. He's got a little top hat. No. I really don't need top hats on my otters. So I am working on Boom the Otter from the book, and then eventually that will lead me over to whatever his name is, the tiger, or in my case, it'll be a tigress. Then I got a kit. This is Billy the Unicorn. I have taken a picture of Billy at probably his most unflattering angle. The kits, I decided I wanted the cylindrical body shape. So I thought, what's the kit I like the best with that? The Harry Potter kit. I wanted to do the Harry Potter anyway. Of all the ones I've seen online, I actually like her Harry Potter a lot from the Woobles. Okay, so then you get into the free shipping trap. Give them $10 for shipping or give them $20, $30 for a kit. Fortunately, they solved it for me. I loaded up my cart with the little itty bits, and it said, do you want a mystery Wooble? We'll give it to you for $24. Now, the mystery Woobles. For a long time, they were Bao Bao the panda. I don't know why Bao Bao did not sell well. Generally, when they're doing this, they're telling you it's not selling well. They have 2 tricks they use on the Wooble site. One is limited release. Billy was not a limited release. But then Billy became the mystery Wooble. And a whole lot of people over on the Wooble sites on Facebook were saying, wow, I asked for the mystery and I got Billy. Everybody's getting Billy right now. Before Billy, it was Bow Bow the panda. So Bow Bow went away, but he's easily hacked, and I have all the bits figured out to do that. And you'll hear about that when I hack him. But I thought, Billy looks like he is the dinosaur body. Not exactly. He actually goes out, I think, 4 stitches more. There's one extra increase row on Billy, as opposed to the dinosaur shape that's used for Fred the dinosaur, in my case, Frederica. So I thought, well, why not? I mean, let's see if it is the dino body. And there were other things, like I got the little angel wings. They threw them in free, actually, for me. And I got them because I thought it would be really fun to make Billy into a Pegasus. Like do them in horse colors, not the Snow White unicorn stuff. And then I saw a hack somebody did where they gave him nostrils and a mouth, and it really improved him, in my opinion. I really like him with the mouth and the nostrils. So I said, okay, let's do Billy the Unicorn. I did not enjoy this one as much. Now, he's coming out fine. I got no complaints. But I just did not enjoy the body, and I think it's because I've gotten a little too used to doing the egg shape, to be honest. I think it's not the kit's fault. It's more mine. But I also took a while to get used to that broad nose shape on Fred the dinosaur from the book. I think that's part of it, is I am not as fond of that big wide nose. But we'll see what happens when Billy gets her lips and her nose, her nostrils. Meanwhile, I did the horn. Now, I have seen our buddy Amber Weinberg's horn. She's one of our listeners. She did a really good job, came out looking good. I've seen also somebody else's narwhal with its horn, which I'm sure is the same horn. They got it to look good. I did not. So I just said, the heck with that. They're using a magic circle and a modification, to my mind, of the ear of Felix the Fox. And I said, no, no, no. So I did a 4-chain. I did a modification, frankly, of Fred the dinosaur's arm. I did a chain of 4, and then I did a partial oval. I sort of stitched back along one side and twisted it. Got to work. So I rather like that unicorn horn, but that is uniquely my own. They give you enough yarn to do that, I'm happy to say. In the crochet block experiments, I haven't been working on anything except the lakeside cardigan. I have been doing long seams, and then I just looked at it and said, you've got to start weaving in ends. So I took my big piece that is the back and the sleeves, and it's 2 blocks by 10 blocks, and I started weaving in those ends, and I wove in all the ends on what will be the back, which is a 2x4 that I have to sew on yet to the back. But I didn't want to sew anything onto that big piece till all those ends were woven in. So, you know, it's really kind of pleasant. I just sit here watching Bridgerton. I'm on the second time around for the newest season, the newest half season, and I just sit there weaving in ends, and it's just very pleasant. But there was a good meme, which I wish I had saved, about the idea, granny squares, so easy to make, and just purgatory to sew together into things. Yeah, you do have to do a lot of ends, you know, and all that sort of thing. However, I'm really looking forward to this cardi, and you'll probably all see it in September if you come to CFRX. Lydia's pinks, the socks, are on the heel still, because I really buried it under bits of the cardigan and didn't get to it this week. I'm so close. I'm probably 6 rows from finishing it. I could kick myself. Haven't touched vestuary, haven't touched the spinning. So let's get on, after 18 long minutes of my projects, and CFR though, let's get on to a strategy. And I had a really interesting experience while I was running. So this is also offshoot. But it made me think about communal thinking versus patriarchal thinking. And it made me realize that someone should say this to you about the difference, because a lot of times we have a chance for communal thinking and it gets kind of, dare I say, perverted into this patriarchal model. And I think that's putting a lot of us off actual communal thinking. So ride with me on this. Okay. And what is communal thinking? And also, you're going to hear this again in Minerva Gets the Last Word, because Minerva and the ravens have made me do this. Now, we have a mated pair of ravens. They mate for life. And they're living on our farm. And I call them Hugin and Noonan after the ravens of Odin, of course. And I was out running this week, And I have now run 7 days out of 9. The other 2 days I biked. And I'm doing great. My legs are holding up. Everything's going really well there. And I'm over that horrible phase I was in last week where I was in agony because the fronts of my legs and eventually the backs of my calves had locked. So that's all done. And I'm really doing easy runs. I have to be honest. I post in there occasionally. You'll see in the show notes I post one of the log pages. And you can see it's not very much. I'm doing 1.5 miles. And that is not all running. And I'm alternating 2 different programs, the Learn to 5K, Couch to 5K, and the other one's called Ease into 10K. But they're both meant for complete beginners, but the Ease into 10K accelerates a little faster. It's trying to get you up to 6 miles in, I think, 10 weeks, whereas the 5K program is trying to take you up to 3 miles in 8 weeks, I think. Okay, so I'm alternating them, and I know already that I'm going to start slowing down as these mileages get higher and the times get more demanding. All right, so I'm out there last weekend, 3 days in a row, actually 4. I think I ran Monday and took a break on Tuesday morning and biked. But I'm out there, and the ravens are going crazy. And I'm running, I go out of our driveway and I turn uphill, and then I turn right onto a rather wavy road, but it's more level than the hill I just came off. And the ravens are circling me and they're hollering and they're yelling. Okay, so they're warning everybody about me. It's really clear. I don't have a dog with me, but they're warning about me, that I'm out there. And there are ravens on the neighboring pieces of land. So they're all telling each other I'm out there. So I'm out there, I guess it was Monday morning, and I had the most profound experience. They're out there with me and they're yelling and they're screaming, and one lands about 50 feet ahead of me on the road. I'm on the left side as I go forward, the raven's on the far right. And I tried to remember what Monty Roberts, the great horse whisperer, says about predators and how horses think predators behave. One thing horses react to is if you open your hand and raise it, they see that as a paw with claws, according to Mr. Roberts, and I'm going to believe him. So I tuck my hands in and fold my fingers in, curl them inward. So I'm running and my hands are by my side, but I'm raising them, bending them at the elbow 90 degrees, but I'm curling my fingers inward so the ravens aren't seeing claws. And then I see the raven in the road and it's looking directly at me out of one eye. And so I did the other thing that Mr. Roberts recommends. I lowered my gaze and did not look him in the eye because predators stare when they're about to attack. They fix their gaze. Watch a cat, how it gets absolutely still except its butt wiggles because it's making navigational changes when it's about to jump. But the rest of it is absolutely still and its eyes are very wide and the pupils dilate. Okay, I can tell when Minerva's going to attack because she does exactly those things. So I kept my gaze down and occasionally checked the raven out of the corner of my eye. And I said very softly, I am not here to hurt you. I'm not going to go after you. And the raven watched me and it let me pass it and it hopped to turn to watch me go by. But it was interesting because it got very silent when I did that. Everybody got quiet. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I kept going. All right, on the way back, I found a beautiful primary raven feather in my path, just lying there. It was in perfect shape. In the picture, it looks a bit rumpled because I carried it home and found out American law, you're actually not allowed to collect those unless you're Native American. Darn it. But I felt, and I still feel, that the ravens were signaling, okay, we have a deal. And they gave me a gift because I was peaceful with that raven on the ground. That I do feel there was an act of communication there. And the interesting thing is, I've gone out since most days, no ravens circling me and squawking. I realized it this morning because I changed my route slightly to go further up that first hill. And I was now about 6 acres from home, and the local ravens up there started yelling, and then they stopped, which I thought was intriguing. They didn't circle me and warn about me. They yelled when I got up there, and then they stopped, even though I was continuing to run towards their farm. So I think the local ravens have made a deal. Now, the name for this, believe it or not, is affiliative action. And this is a mammalian thing, but a bird thing too, that the birds that flock and that are intelligent, like the corvids, the crows and the ravens, they do this too. Affiliative action is pretty much what you think it is. It's action that shows you're willing to affiliate yourself peacefully as opposed to attack. And affiliative action is much bigger in nature than I think humans want to acknowledge. For one thing, I've just given you examples of interspecies, not intra, bird to bird, among two different species. And clearly we had affiliative action there, where I gave a signal carefully to the ravens, and they seemed to have given a signal back, and it was confirmed again this morning, 5 days later, that they told the guys up the road. So that is affiliative action, alias communal thinking. And this really made me think today. And I was thinking about, how do humans do affiliative action? And I thought, well, communal thinking, of course, acting as a positive community. And then I began to realize how often stories of this get subverted by generally the patriarchy. And I was really shocked by it, because the more you think about it, the more obvious it's going to get. Because I thought, communal thinking, what would that be? Redistribution of wealth. And I thought, that's right. Those who have give to those who have not. And of course, I thought of Robin Hood. And then I went, oh no. Because Robin Hood is this beautiful medieval story of affiliative thinking. And it gets really perverted, at least in the 20th century, by my immediate forebears, into this whole patriarchal thing. Now, back in the day when I studied medieval, we talked about Arthurian lit, and we always talked about it as patriarchal. And one of my early successes was I wrote a paper for a very famous scholars class where I argued that a 12th century poem, the alliterative Mort Arthur, was very feminist. But I don't think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be affiliative. The alliterative Mort has this narrative of King Arthur leaving England and fighting the Emperor of Rome on his own territory. But in the background, and not at all in the background, getting equal time in fact, are the stories of 5 noble women who are left in charge of their husband's fiefdom while the husband goes away to fight with the king. And it is the story of those women successfully defending their husband's turf. And it's, by 20th century standards, it's feminist, but I don't think it is in medieval standards. I think it's simply accepted that they are a community. And so when one partner is off serving his lord, the other partner maintains the relationship with the community and the people by protecting the fiefdom. And Robin Hood is the same type of story. Robin goes off to fight the Crusades with his lord, with Richard the Lionhearted, Richard I. And while he's gone, his lord, who should be protecting his lands because they're both serving the same king, instead moves in on them. So Robin comes back and finds out that he's now got a problem. So he begins to round up the local guys and says, let's fight back. And they go out into the woods and they become the merry men and all that stuff. And so then the interesting thing, though, is if you're going to have a community, it has to have blood heirs. That you have to be able to train the next generation to think this way. Otherwise, you get this really dictator type thinking or this patriarchal thinking. So Robin has to bring Marion into the story. There has to be a next generation where Robin and when he gets his earldom back, his children are raised to understand that this is what they owe to the common people. They protected Robin's earldom from the evil sheriff of Nottingham, who takes over the movie when he's played by Alan Rickman. I'm just saying. It's the best role in the thing. Anyway, the point is, we in the 20th century made it patriarchal, where Maid Marian is feeble and helpless. There's nothing feeble and helpless about a woman who was raised noble and goes off to live in the woods with her man because she believes that he would have been her guardian and he was supposed to arrange her marriage. And of course, he wasn't going to do that either. He was going to make money off it instead of arranging a reasonable marriage for Marian. So she pushes back because the Sheriff of Nottingham is going to disrupt the bloodlines in England that guarantee peaceful succession. That's the medieval story. But it's weird how we turned it into patriarchal thinking. So Robin's this big hero and Errol Flynn is playing him, or Kevin Costner, whatever, and Marion is kind of helpless and she's a bit of a whore and everything else. Okay. But the communal thinking is you can't simply take all the wealth as the Sheriff of Nottingham does. And so Robin redistributes wealth. Yeah, guys, he's a socialist. Yep, he acts like one, but he's creating stronger community bonds. And this all came out of my thinking about why we open doors for people. That, in other words, when I was young, people opened doors for me. And I open doors for people all the time. And the interesting thing was I was told, well, men do that for women. It's chivalry, knightliness. Okay, cheval, horse, French, knight, the guys who own horses were knights, yeah. At least in the Roman Empire, yeah. And the Roman Empire's tradition, yeah. Okay. But it's not. It's communal thinking. It's not about a man opens a door for a woman. It's about if you are strong in one regard, you help somebody who is not as strong as you in that regard. So let's look at that as a non-patriarchal act. I go to the mall and I see a pregnant woman. I open the door for her. Why? She's pregnant. She is actually stronger than me. She can make babies. And that's one version of her reality, but her other reality is it's hard to get around when you're pregnant. So I open the door for her because I can open doors. That's how this is supposed to work. And I'm saying this because if we keep reducing this to gallantry or chivalry, really a masculinist behavior, we're going to lose the communal value of it. Come on, everybody listening to me, you would open a door if someone came behind you in a manual wheelchair, wouldn't you? In fact, if they were an electric wheelchair, why? Because they're not good at opening doors that way unless there is a button to push that opens the door automatically. So you're going to help them because in that respect, you are stronger than they are. And I would love to enjoy that sense, except Professor Stephen Hawking, you remember him, the guy in the wheelchair who was smarter than any 20 of us rolled together. He's better than me at astronomy. Okay, that being in a wheelchair doesn't make him lesser. It means I have strengths he doesn't have. He had strengths I don't have. That's communal thinking. So let's go back to it, shall we? Let's start thinking about if I have something and I can do it, I should share it and give it for free where I can in the hopes that when I am not as strong as you in some regard, you will give me your act of strength for free. Let's take it off male duty. This is how we get into idiotic places where guys who kick a ball for a living tell college-educated women that they're useless except as breeders. Okay, this is how we get into insane capitalism. Whoever has the most is the strongest and doesn't have to share. We're supposed to be communal. We are communal animals. We're tribal. Yes, I do believe we have natural hierarchical thinking among humans, although we do our best for equality. I do think we tend towards a tribal hierarchy. Whether I'm right or I'm wrong, you can decide. But I do think when humans are at their best, it's when we are thinking about using our advantages to help those who don't have the same advantage, hoping in turn that they will use their advantages to help me. And yeah, I said it, when women bear children, it is a blessing and an advantage to all of us. However, please remember that as I speak to you, I am using dialectical behavioral therapy developed by Dr. Marsha Linehan, based on research by Dr. Christine Podesky, and so on. The research of women has served our world in significant and definite ways, and I refuse to limit us to simply breeders for the menfolk. I don't think anybody who kicks a ball for a living but has a mother who's a physicist has the right to say things like that and say them to insult the people he's in front of and say them at all. He is screwing up the basic human tenet that we need communal thinking. We all help each other to keep the community going, and it goes across species as my beautiful ravens proved to me this past week. In the meantime, yes, I will be on day 8 tomorrow of the runs, and I feel terrific. I have fluffy books. No, not really. But I am rewatching Bridgerton. I have to be honest, I am reading fluffy books. I am reading a series of children's books, the Penderwicks. A friend of mine said, oh yeah, I read those with my kids. And I said, Penderwicks? I never heard of it. And she said, they're actually very wonderful. And the woman who wrote them got the National Book Award, I think, after she wrote the second one. She wanted to write books that were like the books written when she was a kid about the adventures of kids, normal kids with pretty normal families. I'm in the middle of the fourth one, the Penderwicks in Spring. I have to say the third one, you have to read the first 2 to get the third one, but the third one is just a wonderful book. And I'm enjoying all of them, but the third one, the Penderwicks at Point Muette, really I found very moving and wonderful. I also like them for the same reason I used to like the Harry Potter books, which is bad characters stay bad. The virtues of our heroes do not make some of the bad characters change their ways. People are motivated in these books, and their motivations are fairly understandable. I really like them, but I don't have them in the show notes. I should probably add them. Something I really like, yes, I never thought I'd say this, but the Apple Pencil. But there's a story there. So, of course, the nice Apple people slowed down my computer. They do this. My Apple iPad mini is low, 8 years old, and it's just slow. And no matter how much I empty it, it's slow, and I've done all sorts of things. I've added a new battery, it's still slow. And I finally realized I should retire it. And what I decided to do was it will stay by my bed and just play my books from Audible every night to me. So I'm very, very happy about that. So, yeah, we ended up replacing her this weekend. Well, again, this is another one of those projects. I keep money on the side to replace my Apple products because you have to, because they make sure you have to. I'm going to tell you, the PC world is not much better. As I told you a few weeks ago, I just had to replace my laptop, my Lenovo, because the nice Windows people basically said we can't upgrade it anymore. I'm still using it. I'm going to use it till it croaks or until it is unusable, but I have its replacement because I got it for an insanely good price. So, okay. So Windows, Apple PC, they're all doing it to me. Okay. So I did get a new Mini, and as usual, I stoked it up with memory, 256 megs. I really loaded it. And this time I thought, well, what the heck? They gave me a deal on the Apple Pencil. Okay, look, I got the Apple Pencil and I got the cover for the machine that Apple sells, which is magnetic. It's all magnetic. It all sticks together. The cover, give me the old Logitech covers any day. The cover, periodically I try to take the back that's wrapped around and put it on the front and the whole thing comes off. It's very annoying. But the Apple Pencil adheres to the side, and that's actually very convenient as long as you don't take it anywhere, because it'll fall off pretty easily. That is, it's fine just sitting on my desk, but if I take it in the car someplace, I would want a more secure way of holding the pencil. However, that's a criticism of the case, not the pencil. The pencil adheres to the side. That's a nice trick. The other thing is, the pencil, sorry, this is not a remarkable still. The Apple people have just not caught up with the writing on real paper technology that the Remarkable gives you. It is not a comfortable experience to write with it on glass. No, that's not what it's about. And I think because the Apple people don't see a reason to do that. Apple, look, if they decide they're going to steal somebody's technology or imitate it or whatever they do it. And yet they're not equaling the Remarkable. And I think they've just decided it's not worth pursuing that, for the simple reason that the up-and-coming generations don't have a lot of experience anymore writing with pens or pencils. They're using computers. Sad but true. All right, so this is not the Remarkable or the Remarkable Pad, and I'm not going to pretend it is, because on the Mini, you're writing on much smaller surfaces. Now, with certain graphics programs, no, you're probably drawing, but I'm not in it for that. If you're doing graphics with it, you're drawing pretty pictures, sure, but I'm not saying that. And I have no desire to do that because I can do it more comfortably for myself on the Remarkable on a much bigger surface. But the Remarkable is a critter that does a very different job than any iPad. So, I'm not going to review that again. The iPad itself, I use the mini because it's smaller, it's easier on my hands. And so I use it to do my notes, my charting for when I'm seeing patients. Why do I like the Apple Pencil? Because you can use it to highlight very quickly by dragging it. And you can also use it to line out. You know, you basically rub it across the page over the words you want to affect. And then you lift it and the page will highlight what you just rubbed across. And you'll see cut, copy, paste, whatever. That's very nice. That saves me a lot of time on my notes. I can now delete much, much faster. And yeah, that is actually a major thing for me. Cut and paste, no. The pencil is not as intuitive for me. Like I keep trying to tap it on the page to locate the cursor and things get awkward. It makes little periods and dots and all that. No, it's just not great that way. But I have to admit, over the last week, I've had this thing. First of all, the mini's going great. Very, very fast. Easy, you know, I like all Apple tech. If you've got one Apple, you've got easy download onto your next Apple. They're very, very nice. Everything transferred easily. Of course, that's something Apple does extremely well on its cloud. But I have to say, the pencil. This is never going to be something I write with comfortably and freely. I don't like writing on the glass with it. I've tried. You can write with your handwriting and it will read it as TypeScript, and it's pretty accurate. They've really, really improved this technology since the last time I looked at it, so I'm very happy about that. Am I going to replace my Remarkable with it? No, but to be fair, the Apple Pencil is in a different league than the Remarkable stylus. They're doing two very different jobs. So, you know, they each have their value where they are. I like both of them. I much prefer my Remarkable tablet to any Apple product out there. And I'm really looking forward to when I retire in another 3.5 years is the current plan. I'm really looking forward to just getting rid of all this stuff and cutting down to, I assume, a phone and a tablet. Will it be my Apple and my iPad? Probably, because that's what I have. I don't think I'm going to keep reinvesting in phones. And I really want to get off the cloud, totally, because I'm just tired of all the hacking issues I've had as a professional. Anyway, the Apple Pencil, yeah, I really do like it now. I give them a lot of points. I think they've just decided not to imitate the Remarkable technology. I think they've gone in a different way, and they've used it to make the work on the Apple products somewhat easier. If I had iPads that would respond to this, I don't think they will. I haven't tried it on the iPads I have. That would be nice, but it's never going to be a big enough, wide enough surface for me to feel comfortable actually using it to write very much. But I'm getting a lot out of it just because it deletes and highlights so easily. It does speed things up. It isn't as intuitive as I'd like it to be, but no gripes. Put a lid on it, easy keto wraps. Boy, you want to pay attention to this one. This is a simple recipe. In fact, I just made it tonight, and the picture's from the one I made tonight. You take a baking sheet, and you're going to need 2 pieces of parchment paper that fit the baking sheet. Okay, preheat your oven to 350 Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, British and Canadians, and I don't know the centigrade on that. Apologies. All right, take your bullet blender and put 3 eggs and a cup of cottage cheese in it. I hope you have cottage cheese in all the countries that are listening to me, but anyway. So you blend those till they're silly, till it's, you really want to blend it thoroughly. You want to break down the curds of the cottage cheese. Then you pour it on the parchment paper that you have spread 1 piece on the baking sheet. And you take a rubber spatula and you spread it out, or silicone, you spread it out nice and evenly. And then you can let it sit for a minute. You can add any herbs or spices you like, salt, pepper, oregano, thyme, whatever you want, dill. And then you're going to put this in your oven at 350 Fahrenheit, and you bake it for 40 minutes, and you take it out, and then you lift your parchment off the baking sheet, and then you lay your second piece of parchment on top, and you're going to flip it. And then you're going to put it back on the baking sheet. And you put it in there for 10 more minutes, because you're really browning the bottom, not the top. You're not broiling this baby, you're baking it. And then you can cut it into pieces. I usually get about 4 wraps out of it, and you can use it as wraps or as bread for dipping. This is a really nice keto recipe. Most keto breads taste kind of eggy, Probably if you're used to more traditional breads with flour, non-almond breads, that's non-almond flour breads, that is, this is probably going to taste a bit eggy to you. If you're keto, this is really handy. You can use this all sorts of ways. You can just take it, cover it with tomato sauce and grated cheese and whatever toppings and use it as pizza. This is a really useful thing. Very easy, very painless to make. If I was going to top it, I would probably put it under the broiler very quickly just to melt the cheese. In the blather, nothing much. We're waiting for the jury duty, and I have to get to my mending pile, but I'm too busy trying to get through my knitting and crocheting projects. However, jury duty now, they did not move me to the civil courthouse, so I'm still in the criminal courthouse, darn it. But the wooden crochet hook set from Knit Picks arrived. They are very beautiful, so I will be using them as hair sticks, and that way I can take some crocheting with me and do a little bit of crocheting that week. I traditionally crochet a shawl, a really easy thing that I don't need a pattern for. The weight loss and the fasting, I'm still just down 23 pounds, but I am no longer plateaued. My glucose is pretty good right now, and I didn't lose weight this week because I'm running. Because really, to be honest, I'm clearly building muscle. That's what the pain was about last week. When you exercise a muscle hard, it rips itself apart and then rebuilds itself stronger. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if you're going to get fit, you have to live with the fact your weight loss will slow. So I'm temporarily stalled on the weight loss, but I'm building the muscle, and I just feel crazy happy when I run in the morning, let me tell you. Project G, it's on the rails. I'm not doing much in there. I realize I have to go out because we're accumulating boxes again. However, Project Cookbook, I am writing down all these recipes as I give them to you and transferring them. So I'm doing about 3 index cards a week into our paper index card file that I'm building for my son and I to use. The dogs are doing fine and nothing's going on in the garden, but we are watering again. Under community resources, there are the links for the books I've used, and also there's a list of skills and techniques called links. And there's also a list of my favorite resources for buying to support my knitting. That includes people who supported us last year from Etsy at CFR9. Okay, so there's a link of all our resources. I'll probably move some of those into the information thread for CFRX because some of them will be worthwhile patterns to know, for example, for knitting mini skeins. On the calendar, I did indeed record with Hands On Knitting Center's Molly and Gretchen. Hi, ladies! It was so much fun. I'm pretty sure Molly sent me the link to this, and I can't find where I put it. So I did just write to her today and say, please send me the link again, because I'm rather embarrassed. Meanwhile, on the calendar, you will also see all the local groups in the Santa Clarita Valley, their information for finding them on Facebook and when they meet, and etc. And also the Santa Clarita Valley Free Craft Exchange. I think they're doing a meeting this Tuesday night, so I won't be making that. In the time off, I have the July 4th holiday. I will be getting a 4-day weekend, which makes yours truly pretty happy. And CFR 10, of course, that is at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia on September 28th. Some of us will be starting the party on September 27th. That includes me. I've taken that day off. There's yet another link there to the information thread for CFR 10 or CFRX. And, of course, I will have, I forgot to say, I will have Labor Day. I'm looking forward to that because I'm going to get 5 days, I believe, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then my birthday is 2 days later. So I'm expecting to have a 5-day break there. And, of course, Romule will be December 21st. And I'm not sure how late I'm going to go with that since Christmas and New Year's are on Wednesdays. But I will certainly be doing the 21st through, I think it's the 30th, through the 29th. And then hopefully I will also go for the 30th, 31st. We'll see. Minerva gets the last word. And once again, she wants to encourage you to practice affiliate communication. There's a lovely picture there on International Black Cat Day where I am lying on her and she is tolerating it. I am, of course, committing an action of affiliate communication. Turns out, Minerva wants you to know, Cats talk to us a lot, that they practice affiliate communication because, as I told you in a previous episode, house cats are not solitary animals. They are descended from cats in Africa that actually are community-based. So yes, our house cats practice affiliate communication, which means, and I found this very funny when I read it, your cat walks up to you and it trills hello. Now, cats don't usually make noise when they practice affiliate communication with each other, but they think humans are a little dense, so they will trill at us. And then you say hello back. And often the cat will get in a communication conversation with you. What are you actually saying to each other? Apparently, according to the cat researchers, the cat trills, she's saying hi. And you say, hello, kitty cat. And she trills again. She goes, hi. And you say, hello, kitty cat. And the cat's starting to wonder what's wrong with you and goes, hi. And you go, hi. And she goes, hi. And you go, aren't you pretty? And the cat goes, hi. And you go, you're my favorite cat. And the cat goes, hi, you moron. Anyway, that's all it is. It's an exchange, apparently, of hi, 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 hi. And Minerva would like you to know that she believes in that, and she would like to encourage you to practice it instead of redirecting it into non-constructive, patriarchal, glorifying garbage. Get out there and communicate and enhance the community of our whole human group. On that happy note, don't forget to take care of yourselves, but really important to remember, when we take care of each other, we are taking care of ourselves. And so everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.